What's up everyone, and welcome back to the channel. So for today's review, we get to check out a 2024 BMW M240i xDrive. Huge shout out to Hendrick BMW Northlake for providing this sports car for me today. Definitely take a look at their website. That link is down in the description. This 240 is finished off in Brooklyn Gray. MSRP is just over $57,000. Now what's interesting about today's review is this is the exact vehicle that my wife and I spec'd. We decided to go with a BMW X5 instead, but today we get to check out the car that would be in our driveway if we decided to stay with it. So let's start off with what powers this 240. Underneath the hood is the 3-liter inline 6-cylinder turbocharged engine. It's paired to the 8-speed automatic transmission. It pumps out 382 horsepower, 369 pound-feet of torque. That power sent through the xDrive all-wheel drive system, propelling this 3,800-pound sports car from 0 to 60 in 4.5 seconds. When properly equipped, its top speed is 155 miles an hour. It also has a fuel capacity of 13.7 gallons. You'll expect to see 23 miles per gallon in the city, 32 out on the highway. This also has a wheelbase of 107.9 inches. Its overall length is 179.4. It has a width of 72.4 and a height of 55.3 inches. As we move on to the exterior styling now for this 240, let's start off with the kidney design for the grille. For this model, it's finished off in gloss black, and this even has active grille shutters within it to provide additional cooling when needed, better airflow of course. There's a forward-facing camera right in the middle, along with all of the parking sensors too. Now this does have LED headlights, DRLs, and turn signals. There's also a lot of cutouts in the lower section. There's a sensor for the adaptive cruise, and very nice cutouts and contoured lines running in that lower section. For the hood, there's also a line that runs right around the middle section with two coming down both sides as well, just to give it a very nice sporty front end. Now as we work our way to the side, this has a set of 19-inch wheels with that double spoke designed to them, two-tone pattern, and then of course the red M Sport brake calipers are just behind that. There's more gloss black in the lower side skirt as well as on the power folding side mirrors, which also have a camera and a turn signal. This has a sunroof up top. All the window trim is blacked out as well. And I do like the side design. There's a large window in the back for your backseat passengers, but even with the roof line with that large window, I think it works great. Now this also has a small gloss black trunk mounted spoiler. There's the backup camera with all the sensors, LED taillights too, and then even more gloss black for that lower diffuser, as well as the dual exhaust. Now as we work our way to the trunk, you can use the button on the key fob or the one up underneath with that electronic release. And with this being a 4-seater, there is still plenty of space for any items that you want to place in the back, and you can even fold down the back seats. So just pull on the tabs on both sides and they will fold down, giving you a lot more interior space, just depending on what you need to fit. So it makes it a very practical, everyday, daily driving sports car, which is awesome to see. Now as we work our way to the interior for this model, it has the new door handle design from BMW, just giving it more of a flush look. You just lift that up of course, and we can take a look at the interior, where this has the cognac color for the entire door panel. There's the trunk release, a little bit of storage down below, power folding side mirror controls, along with the memory seating adjustments too, and then a neat pattern on the back section there. And then of course, same color for these front seats, which are power operated. And if we want to take a look at the back seats, we'll just grab the lever and move that backrest forwards, where the seat will start to work its way forwards, giving you plenty of space to hop into the back. So at 5'10", I can work my way into the back, where this is my first time being in the back. So it looks like there's a good bit of legroom over on that passenger side. Of course, you can adjust that as needed. There's an armrest, a little bit of storage in the middle. We even have some vents too. And again, at my height, my head is just touching the headliner. But honestly, I could ride around town if I really needed to be back here. Our purpose of buying this vehicle was to have car seats in the back. So when we have kids, we can put them in the back and just make it a little bit more user-friendly as a sports car, and have 2 extra seats for additional people if we needed it. So I think it is very practical for those aspects. There's also the armrest with 2 cup holders, and you can even fold down this middle seat. So that way if you need to gain access into the back, you can easily do that. And like I said with the windows earlier, definitely provides you with a lot of visibility and a lot of lighting for your backseat passengers. Now, as we put that backrest into its normal position, the seat will work its way to where it was. And this is a low vehicle, so it is easy to enter. Now, the steering wheel is solid leather with the M Sport badge down below. On this left side, there's all the cruise and adaptive cruise control settings, which is an option to go with. And then over on the right side, you have volume along with tuning, Bluetooth and voice commands, and then some more controls to go through that screen. So let's take a listen to this now. With my foot on the brake, that button is down below. We can bring this to life. And looking at the digital gauge cluster, miles per hour is on the left side, tach is on the right side. If I push on one button on the right side of the steering wheel, now we can scroll through a bunch of information, and it just depends on what you'd like to see. Of course, having that right in front of you. You can also go over to the right, and you have a few different layouts depending on how you want to view this information. The last one is for the head-up display, where currently it is showing miles per hour as well as the speed limit sign. That's the standard view. Directional will add the compass, sport will add the tach, and then reduced view is very similar to the standard view there. So it's a good bit of information that you can go through. This also has the steering wheel mounted paddle shifters, which are finished off in brushed aluminum. And if you use this button on the top of the turn signal stock, that allows you to go through your odometer as well as the trip information. Now on this left side, there's all the headlight adjustments along with the parking lights. There's one air vent. And then as we work our way to the infotainment system, pushing on the home icon gets you here where there's your navigation, your radio, phone. You can go through a lot just by swiping through this, and you can even add widgets as needed. Now also on this left side, you can pull up just the navigation if you want to get into that. You can pull up your phone. You can get into your music as well. And then pushing on the 4 squares gets you to the rest of these icons. Now I can also scroll through this using the rotary dial down below, as well as all these shortcuts that are just in front of that. So there's a lot more you can go through, like your Apple CarPlay, Android Auto, get into your navigation, even your climate adjustments, driving settings, and exterior lighting. So you have quite a lot that you can go through. In the lower section, all of this is fixed. So you can quickly get into your climate adjustments for your heated seats. There's also fan speed, where you like the air to go, and then the temperature controls are on both sides. Now underneath that, there are 2 air vents with some more of the brushed aluminum accents. There's a physical button for power and volume as well as tuning. There's your hazards and 2 defrosters. And then underneath that, if I open up that tray, there's wireless charging in the back along with some auxiliaries and cup holders. And then this is the shifter design for this 2024. If I push that forwards, that is for reverse. You also have the 360-degree view where you can push on these pinpoints to see around the entire vehicle, which is awesome to have. And then there's the car wash setting, which is the downward angle or the top-down view there. Drive is going to be all the way back. If you pull on it one more time, that allows you to use the paddle shifters, and then park is just behind that. Now on this left side, there's traction control. There is a shortcut to the forward-facing camera, so you can pull that up. And then this also has the parking sensors along with the engine start-stop feature and a few different driving modes just behind that. So when you push on those, they will actually change. So sport mode will turn red. There's also comfort, and then eco and eco pro. So just depending on how you want to drive this, there's auto hold and the e-brake just behind that. Now this also has a little bit of storage in the center armrest with an auxiliary, and then plenty of room over in the glove box. Up top, there's the rear view mirror, all the dome lights, and then controls for the sunroof and the sunshade. And then as far as visibility goes, pillars in the back are very thin, so it's easy to see over both shoulders. As we set off behind the wheel now for the BMW M240i, this is only the second 240 that I've ever driven. And like I mentioned earlier, this is the exact spec that my wife and I ordered. We decided to go with an X5 instead, if you haven't seen that collection day video, just with our needs at the moment. but this was a sports car that I was really excited for. My brother owns a Toyota Supra. This is the same engine and power plant as in that vehicle. However, in the Supra, you can also go with the manual transmission. In the 240, this is only provided with the 8-speed automatic. So it's gonna be great for my wife to drive as well, so that way we could share this car and have a very fun and practical sports car. I really wanted something that was a little bit more practical than a 2-seater, since I already own a 2-seater vehicle. And the intent with this car was to be able to have fun with a sports car and still have the backseat room for people to fit in. I am shocked with how well I could ride around in the back, around town, maybe on a small trip, but it would really be intended for kids at some point, putting car seats back there and still having the usable trunk space, but also still having some fun and taking this on back mountain roads and just enjoying the car. Now, I also wanted to buy one of these because of the platform. Like I mentioned earlier, same engine as the Supra. My brother's done a ton of content and modifications with the Supra. That was going to be the plan with this car. So maybe at some point I can revisit this car. But let's talk about just the 240 aside from that. It drives very, very nice. It's a BMW, so it's going to be well refined. The suspension is also taking all of these bumps very well. It's a sports car, so you want it to be a little bit on the stiffer side, but it still seems like it drives very nice. Shifts are also very quick too. This is the 8-speed ZF automatic. So you have one of the best automatic transmissions that you can get for this vehicle. So those are lightning quick, and it's a very nice vehicle to be in. I love just BMWs. Obviously we bought an X5. It feels very similar to that as far as the refinement goes. So it's going to be something that you can absolutely daily drive, and then when you want to, you can have some fun with it as well. It's not all that loud either in the stock configuration, but it has a nice tone to it. And from second gear, here we go. Very mild on the acceleration, but I have been in the Supra to know that this is a quick car. It has a lot more potential than what I'm throwing at it today, but of course if this was mine, we'd have plenty of content coming in the future once it's broken in. But this is what it's like to be behind the wheel of the 240. There are a lot of different options that you can go with for this model. So that's one of the fun things that we had when building this vehicle, what we wanted to add, what we didn't want to add. And there's just a lot that you can go through just depending on what best suits you. As far as some of the options go, wireless charging is an option, adaptive cruise is an option, and there's even some different trim pieces that you can get over the gloss black. So I'll say this is a fairly conservative spec. We really didn't put that many options on it. So you can break $60,000 just depending on what you add to this car. So we wanted to keep it kind of conservative for the most part. Turning radius is also very good. And of course, the different driving modes are going to affect the throttle response. So there's nothing that will change the suspension or anything like that. It's just going to help on that throttle response depending on how you are driving. But this is a comfortable vehicle. It feels similar to the X5, even though it's a sports car versus an SUV. And that's what I like about BMWs. They all have very similar driving characteristics. Of course, they are going to handle differently depending on the model and the SUV, coupe, which one that you choose to go with. But overall, I think the 240 is a really good bang for your buck because of how practical it is with the back seats, which is why I wanted to get one over the Supra, because it had the back seat space. So if you're looking for a sports car, you want something that's luxury focused, the 240 is great. I haven't seen many of these out on the road yet either, but they're slowly starting to trickle into the lots, and people are starting to get their allocations for them. So it's a really nice sports car. And like I said earlier, maybe I will revisit one because this is a nice place to be. That is going to wrap it up though for the 2024 M240i. Once again, huge shout out to Hendrick BMW Northlake for letting me take a look at the future spec, possibly for my own M240i, but for this car in general and what it has to offer. Check out their website, give this video a huge thumbs up, and consider smashing that subscribe button so you don't miss out on our daily uploads. I will see you all in the next video.